Hi there, my name is Sarah and welcome to Book Sarah's. So in this video I am going to continue reading series that I actually don't want to continue reading, but I have an explanation as to why I am continuing them anyway. The first series is the Powerless series. I'm going against a lot of people here, I think, because this one is actually quite popular, as I've seen on Goodreads and other booktubers. But I really did not like Powerless. There were no original thoughts. There were a lot of repeated sentences, repeated ideas, and it was so unoriginal for me. It is actually the only book this year so far that I have given a 1-star review, because it was just so awful. And then I did read Powerful, but only because I already bought it. And I am planning to read all the books that I actually own. So I thought, if I don't read it right after reading Powerless, I am never going to read it. And then Powerful was, well, I can't say really better, but marginally better than Powerless, just because some of those repeated sentences didn't appear as often. And I think the teacher in me really thought, okay, this writer, Lauren Roberts, she is getting a bit better. She is learning. She is in a process. And I really want to give Reckless, which is the new one that just came out now, a try, just to see if she can continue that, if she doesn't fall into the same traps that she has before. But I have to be honest with you, if this one is anywhere below a 2-star at the end, I am definitely not continuing the series. While I'm reading this one, I am going to be using my tab notes to indicate some of those repeated sentences. Things like his eyes are gray, her eyes are blue, she is biting the inside of her cheek or biting on her tongue. He is mindlessly flipping his dagger. And especially one that annoyed me a lot was he is leaning against something. So one of the main characters in these series, Kai, he is always just leaning against things. It could be a door, it could be a low-hanging branch, but apparently this man needs more stability in his life, right? So that is why we are continuing and reading Reckless. The second series that I will be continuing is the Half a Soul series. These books in this series, they are actually long fairy tales. They are about a human world and the fairy world and how they interact with each other, and most of the time some mischief that fairies are pulling on the humans, or how they are trying to help humans, or curses that they have placed on humans, things like that. I don't really have anything bad to say about this series. I enjoyed the first one, which is Half a Soul. I enjoyed 10,000 Stitches, which was the second one. I enjoyed the novella called The Lord Sorcier, which is included here. It is included in Half a Soul. But I think I gave all of these like 3 or 3.5 stars, just because I like them. They are cozy. If you like cozy fantasy, then these are definitely for you. If you like things like the Emily Wilde books or Legends and Lattes, then I would definitely advise you to read these. But they are a bit soft for me, and while reading the books I am always thinking, I could be reading something else, maybe something with a bit more high stakes or a bit more emotion or something like that. And now I still have Longshadow. And as I said before, I am wanting to read all the books that I actually have. So I have to read Longshadow, but I've heard that this is the not the best one in the series, most people's least favorite one in the series. And that is why I have been putting it off, because I actually don't really feel like reading this one, but I am obliging myself to do so. So that is what this video is about, reading 2 books to continue a series that I actually am not a fan of, but we will power through. Let's go. Time for a check-in. I'm at page 99 in Reckless, and so far I'm more into the story than I was in the first book in Powerless. We are following Peyton and Kai once again, and well, if you have read the first book, you know what happened. But if you haven't, I cannot really spoil this one, I think. So let's just say, just like in the first book, we have a very linear storyline. You do not have any side quests in these books, which make them less interesting. But thus far, there are not as many things that bother me as in the first book. In the first book, there was actually no world building. You had the royals and you had a lot of poor people, and there was apparently nothing in between. There was no creation of this kingdom. You got a map, but that was it. There was a forest, and that was it. And there were these games, and people could die, but they didn't have to die. But if it was fun for others to kill them, that was okay. And there was no reason for those games, and it bothered me so much. It was kind of like the author was thinking, like, everyone has read the Hunger Games, so, you know, whatever I'm not telling you, just copy paste. Fill in the blanks yourself, which I truly, truly hated. Now, in this book, because of things that happened in the first book, we actually have, so far, a logical storyline. So even if it is not the most interesting one, at least it makes sense. And of course, as I said, I wanted to do some tabbing. So I have different annotations, things like mention of eye color, the mention of biting on your tongue or on your cheek, because that happens quite a lot. What else do I have? Eye rolling, running your fingers or your hand through your hair, different things like that. And then I also have repeating a certain word, or mention or having this lineup of 3 things in a row, because this author uses that a lot in her writing. Let's Let's find an example. So here I have an example of these three things that follow each other, and have a certain, it gives a certain rhythm to the text, but she does it so often that it starts to bother me. So an example here is, my blood is only useful if it can manage to stay inside my body. My mind is only useful if it can manage not to get lost. My heart is only useful if it can manage not to get broken. And this feels so forced because it doesn't make any sense anymore, because she has to find three things to make this rhythm work, and it's just not working for me. And then we have other examples of this repetitiveness in combination with the repetition of certain words. For example, here, if she's hurt, then she can't have gotten far. If she's hurt, then I have an advantage. If she's hurt, I need to be okay with that. And it happens constantly. Another one here. Kai is every bit the brutal, the bold, the foreboding, every bit the king's son. Which again has both repetition and it comes in threes, right? And it nags me. It really does. It irks me so much. Do you remember when you were 12 and you had like a crush on someone, and you would play tag and you would hope that they would chase you and catch you because it was so exciting, right? Yes, that's what this book is. It is being 12 and playing tag. Well, we finally finished Reckless. Let's talk about it. First of all, we have the world building. It is as if somebody told Lauren Roberts that she has no world building. So in this book, we take a trip to Dor, which is a different city. In the first book, we only ever see Ilya. And about Ilya, we know that the weather is normal, that people are poor, and that they eat sticky buns. And now we go to Dor, and in Dor, the weather is hot. The people fight in the streets, and they eat stale bread. So that's world building, yes. If in the next book they go to a city called Isram, then I guess the weather will be cold and people might be unfriendly and maybe the bread tastes salty. You can have that, Lauren. Next up, we have fighting. If you ever get into a fight with Payton, she has the same tactic all the time, and that is that she will swipe your foot with her foot, and then she will pull your arm backwards and up. Just a tip. Payton also keeps telling Kai that she is going to strangle him, murder him, cut his throat, slit his throat, continual death threats. which, well, no. Now, what actually has improved in this book is that there is no more reference to words tumbling out of her mouth that she couldn't stop. There are no more references to the way people smell, because in the first book, Kai was always smelling like pine and she was always smelling like lavender. And thank God that is gone. And then I am truly happy to say that Kai is no longer leaning against things. I think it only happens two times this time in this book. So work. But don't play the game or the drinking game if you would drink every time that the repeating of the three words happens, or any repetition happens, because you will have to go to hospital and get your stomach pumped. I actually felt eventually like the book is wholly unnecessary. I think you would maybe need 3 chapters out of all of this. One to talk about the characters' feelings, and for them to decide what they actually feel, because that's very difficult apparently. One chapter to talk about genetics, which is something that you will learn in this book, and one chapter which is the last chapter, not the epilogue, but the last chapter in this book, in which actually something happens that you need to know in order to read the third book in this trilogy. So I ended up giving this book 1.5 stars. It was not a fun read. I only did this for this video. I gave it 0.5 star more than the previous one, just because she learned a bit about which sentences not to use anymore. So yeah, 1.5 stars for Reckless. And then I think we can guess what the title of the third book could be. I actually have a top 3 of guesses. On the third place I have Merciless. On the second place I'm thinking Breathless. And in first place I'm guessing it would be Fearless. And there I will end talk about Reckless. Which means we can finally start Longshadow, which is the third book in the Regency Fairies series, written by Olivia Atwater. I am not looking forward to this book, but I am happy to be reading anything else than Reckless. So let's go. So it's been about a week since I started reading Longshadow. I've only finished it now, which is not the book's fault, but life happens. And I want to wrap up this video by talking about Longshadow. In this book we are following Abigail, who is trying to solve some mysterious deaths that are happening around town. And following Abigail, we get to meet Mercy, which leads to a very cute, very sweet relationship. And in this book, because of the deaths that we are following, we also get some darkness, some talk about life after death, maybe, or things that might happen after death. And I actually like that. I was worried to read this book because I heard it was most people's least favorite in the Regency Fairy series. But I think I like this one as much as I did the first one, maybe even more. No, I think equally. But I liked it better than I liked the second one, than 10,000 Stitches. So I'm giving this one 3.5 stars. Definitely a solid read. Not my favorite type of story, but I enjoyed it. But I'm happy to move on to something different. So I'll see you in the next video. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, talk about books with me. See you later. Bye!